What's up, guys? This is Chris here, and today we're going to be talking about my absolute favorite firearms company, KelTec. No, I'm kidding. I've had some problems with KelTec in the past, but the reality is they actually have some very good guns. So today we're going to see if the RDB is one of those. This is the KelTec RDB, which is a 5.56 16-inch bullpup rifle that I bought because the guys over at Shields talked me into it.
You are an enabler.
And because you guys have obviously asked for it, and because we've had a lot of bullpups on the channel, and I would like to see what an American offering has to do compared to things like the Steyr, the IWI, Tavor X95, and then most recently the Croatian, the Springfield VHS2, the Springfield Hellion. But I'd like to compare this to those, considering that they are of the same concept. But before I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure to click the bell for the notifications. I also want to mention the Patreon link in the description. If you guys are interested in helping the channel, that's the best way to do it. If you like the content, go down and click that link in the description and sign up. I also want to mention a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. It's a youth shelter. That link is also in the description. Please go down there and donate to those kids. It could really use support, and I can tell that you guys have been actually doing it because I've been getting letters recently about how awesome you guys are, how much you're donating. So please continue to do an awesome thing. Go down there and donate to those kids. Now, the KelTec RDB is, again, a bullpup rifle. The concept of a bullpup rifle is essentially to put the action in the rear behind the trigger group in order to give you a longer barrel, more velocity, more hitting power, more lethal range for a less overall profile of a rifle, allowing you to theoretically CQB with the gun a little bit better, allowing you more maneuverability in close quarters, while still allowing you to hit accurately at distance, while hitting with enough velocity to be lethal with the 5.56 caliber, which is velocity dependent. Now, even if you move that up to a 7.62 or anything like that, most rounds are velocity dependent, and they're going to be helped out considerably by having, let's say, an extra 6 inches of barrel. And the reason why I say an extra 6 inches, that's usually the difference between a bullpup and something like a 10.5 inch Daniel Defense Mark 18 or something like that, which is very common for CQB. Usually a 16-inch bullpup is the same overall length as a 10.5 inch AR. So for the same profile, you get an extra 6 inches barrel. Overall though, you actually get a lot of drawbacks for that one pro. And the first drawback generally is the trigger group. Because there's a longer linkage, more parts, more things for the trigger group to actually interact with, you generally get a heavier trigger pull, which equates to less accuracy. You also have to learn a new battery of arms because the loading process and the clearing of malfunctions is going to happen back here, which is harder for you to see. Those are usually the trade-offs when it comes to bullpups. You're going to have to get a different battery of arms, and you're going to get usually a shittier trigger, but for that extra added barrel and less overall profile. You can actually see how small the RDB is in overall length by the fact that I put a magnified optic on here, because the magnified optic literally takes up half the gun, and it doesn't look that dramatic on an AR-15 because the AR-15 is a much bigger silhouette. Now, bullpups are also going to be generally heavier, and this one is. You can't see it here, but this one's coming in at around 10 pounds-ish configured, and it's considerably heavier than traditional AR. Usually that is because they have to reinforce the area where the action takes place, because now your face is sitting on it. The other con that you're going to get from that is if you are a left-handed shooter, you're going to have to convert it right or left, or you're going to have to find a bullpup like the FS2000, Desert Tech, which mitigates the issues of the shells hitting you in the face. But on the KelTec, you can see here that there is no ejection port that's going to hit you in the face, so that is kind of nice, and that is ingenuity that I like to see. You're also going to get a bit of reverberation and sound and shit coming in here, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem for you. Now, I like on the KelTec that you have the forward charging handle. I'm a big fan of that. I don't particularly like the T charging handle on the AR-15 because it's placed back so far, it just doesn't seem very intuitive. You also have an adjustable gas system on here, but you don't really get any ability to mount accessories. Modern guns like the Hellion and the IWI and the Desert Tech MDR come with M-LOK rail systems that allow you to put different lights, lasers, things like that on, whereas the RDB apparently didn't get that memo. Although we do have a plastic quad rail on the handguard here, which is definitely not going to hold zero or anything like that, but you could put a light and a vert grip or or an angled foregrip or something, which is what most people are gonna do anyway. I like the adjustable gas system a lot. I like that you can turn it with the tip of a bullet, so you can use it for adverse conditions or not, or maybe varying types of ammunition. We do have ambi controls on the KelTec 2, which is very cool, especially because I live with a girl who shoots left-handed, so that's awful nice. And the gun itself comes in for a considerably lower price than your average bullpup. I got this guy for less than $1,000, which is very impressive, especially in today's climate. So if it operates and is reliable and as accurate as something like a Hellion, which comes in at like $2,000 to $2,500, it would be quite a steal. All bullshit aside, if this gun works, theoretically it would be quite a buy. So let's go down there and shoot the gun and take a few shots with it and just give you my first impressions. Now, the ammunition that we are going to be shooting today in the video is going to be sponsored by Nautilus Ammunition. We thank them for that. We appreciate them sending down some rounds for us to shoot out of our mighty KelTec here. Nautilus Ammunition is very reliable and very accurate, and they're a pretty good buy for the cash as well. So if you're interested in some good 5.56 ammo, they're a good place to go. Now, another thing I don't like about bullpups in particular is going to be the fact that I can't really monopod on them that well. And I know a lot of guys will say that you shouldn't monopod on an AR or an AK, but if you do monopod, as in I mean use the actual magazine to stabilize your shot, especially while you're in prone or on a table, and your gun does have a malfunction, that says a little bit more about the quality of gun, ammunition, and magazines that you're using than it actually does the process itself. I can tell you that any quality AR-15 or AK or any semi-automatic rifle can be monopoded just fine. The problem with the bullpup doing it is that the magazine is in the rear and it's very unwieldy when you do that, which is why we're trying to shoot off a bag here. My trusty Brownell's bag. So, first thing I noticed, the recoil and pulse is a little bit heavier than something like an AR-15, but that's fine. The other thing I did notice is that the safety, although it feels very unintuitive in actual dry fire practice, I can in fact come over and slip it off no problem. And it doesn't get in the way of my hand here either, so it actually does work relatively well. It's actually a pretty tight group there. I was shooting at that 10-inch plate down there, and you can see at 50 yards, all those rounds are on top of each other. So that's pretty good accuracy for the bullpup. Now, one of the things I immediately don't like about the gun is that even though they have this ejection port here where it's fallen down below so it doesn't hit you in the face either side, I have noticed I've been hit by almost every hot round coming out of this gun. I've already been burnt at least 5 times shooting on that bench and shooting right there. So it's been a ton of fun to shoot this so far. Oh, we're out. At least you can kind of feel when it's out, just like an AR.
Kind of like you too.
Now, I think it's pretty cool that they have a bolt release on the gun over here, but it seems like it's kind of a weird spot. Because if I load the gun, you're supposed to come up and put your thumb on the bolt release, kind of like an AR-15, I guess. But for me, at least, it seems it would be faster to load the gun and just rack the charging handle. For me, especially with every bullpup, because the controls are in different spots, I generally just err toward loading the gun, hitting the charging handle. So that's what I would do, but if you guys are really good with the bolt release, go nuts. Now, one of the interesting things I'm noticing in the scope is that downrange, now it's really hot today, it's like 85, and the gun's scorching hot. And I have noticed that my groups have elevated dramatically to the point to where I was hitting in the chest, and now I'm actually hitting him in the head. So I wonder if that's just like heat stringing, but hard to say. The other thing I've noticed is that the front of the gun is extremely hot. So, getting into the review, I was thinking to myself, man, I hope this thing is reliable. And the good part was, out of the 4 mags we shot through just now, it absolutely was. 100% reliable with the old Nautilus ammunition. And I appreciate that. I did, however, find like 9 things I didn't like about the gun, which kind of sucks. Now, I don't like to hit on guns that I already kind of shit talk, because I don't particularly like KelTec as a company, but I don't want that to affect my judgment of the gun itself. There are lots of KelTec guns I actually do like, including the P50. If you're looking for a great KelTec, the P50 is a really good choice. I think the CMR 30, something like that, is a really good gun as well. That being said, I'm not sure this one's for me. I'll give you a couple of reasons. One, the handguard heated up like crazy. I have never felt a gun this hot before. This little piece right here burnt me I don't know how many times, and you can see that I'm not sure if that's one of the push pins or not, but that thing is already walking itself out. Also, the recoil impulse was extreme. I'm not really sure why that is, but by comparison to something like the Geisley Super Duty 10.5 inch, this has triple the recoil. And it's the same caliber, and that gun has a carbine plank gas system that only a 10.5 inch barrel. Now, it's hard to compare kind of apples to oranges there, but they are the same caliber, so it's surprising to me the gun that weighs a lot more has more recoil. Another thing that I don't like about this gun is going to be that it's less modular. You obviously can't change things in the same manner that you could change an AK, for example, or an AR. Comparing it to other bullpups like the Springfield, I don't think there's really any comparison. The Springfield Hellion is significantly superior to this gun, in my personal opinion, and Springfield is a company I like less than I like KelTec. The Springfield has the correct ergonomics, the controls are where they're supposed to be, the recoil impulse is great, the reliability is great, and the ability to add accessories is awesome as well, on top of being a little bit lighter, at least in feel, that this gun is. My personal opinion on this gun, being honest, and that's my name, I don't see a reason to buy this currently, and I don't see a real reason to continue the review process. After I was shooting it out there, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to shoot this anymore. And I know that kind of sucks to say, because one range trip may not necessarily tell the tale of the gun itself. That being said, ammunition is so expensive these days, it's kind of hard for me to justify time and money on a firearm that I'm not really vibing with. I don't particularly love bullpups very much, but I got the bullpup fever because I tried the Hellion recently, and that was the best bullpup I've shot. And this brought me right back to reality, and I gotta tell you, as far as recoil impulse, as far as ergonomics, as far as overall accuracy and ease of use, this gets a solid F from me. It is reliable, however, which is all you can really ask of a gun mechanically, and everything else is personal preference. So just because I don't like this particular gun doesn't necessarily mean you won't. It's likely, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna hold true. So if you actually shoot this gun and you like burning your hand, and you like having a harsh recoil impulse, all to look like you're out of Starship Troopers, go nuts. Buy the KelTec RDB. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.